It's me. I'm the one in full.
Good evening. Welcome everyone to our Christmas Eve all-age service of worship. It's lovely to see you. It's great to see you and welcome you. We weren't sure, if folks were going to turn out or so on, because often this is one of our particularly busy services. But we're delighted that you're here, and we can understand as well why some family and friends might not be here. And I'm very pleased to say that the service will be recorded and it will be made available on the Holburn West Church website if you want to see it at a later point, or if you know folk who would like to see it. So we gather this evening to worship God and to hear afresh the Christmas story. And as we seek the love of God in our lives, we also seek to express that love to others. So there's the opportunity to give in an offering, and any offerings that go into the plate on the way out this evening will go to Instant Neighbour, supporting folk in need in Aberdeen, and Christian Aid, supporting various projects overseas, and of course the particular situation in Afghanistan at this particular time. So there's the opportunity to express our love and support through that offering at our Christmas services. Just one or two other things I want to mention. We meet this evening for our Christmas Eve watch night service. It's at 11. Here we meet for favourite carols, and then at 11:20 the service begins, leading us into midnight. And then Christmas Day, we're having the first of our united services with our fellow congregations in our grouping, and that is going to be at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow at Midstocket Parish Church. And then on Boxing Day, Sunday, we have a united service here at 10:30 a.m. Again with neighbouring congregations and ministers also taking part in the service. So we must have thought we would do that deliberately, with Christmas Eve being on a Friday, Christmas Day being on a Saturday, Boxing Day. We'll share it amongst ourselves, and that's what we've done. So the only other thing I think I want to say this evening is I'm sorry that we can't offer our regular hospitality with mince pies and teas and coffees through in the large hall. We had to make some restrictions in the present situation with the pandemic and the variant of the COVID virus that is circulating. We wish you a very enjoyable evening, and before we sing our opening Christmas carol, and then I'll hand over to a group of folks who have been working very hard to share this Christmas story with us. Let us draw near to God. Let us pray. God, creator of the heavens and the earth, of the universe, of the stars, of the planets, God who created the mountains, the lakes, the vast oceans and the fields, God who seeks to draw near among us this evening and bless us with love, bless us with your care, and bless us with the wonderful knowledge that you came into the world in a very special way through Jesus. We pray that you would move in our hearts, our beings, our souls, our minds, that we might have that wonderful sense of mystery, of excitement, of joy, that your love is here among us. We thank you for each and every one gathered here, and we thank you for the different ways you have been with us in our journey. Some have had difficult years, and we have all had difficult experiences with living with different restrictions. But your love seeks to break all boundaries between races and classes and cultures, and your love seeks to come here amongst us and bless our time together. And so may we be strengthened and lifted and seek to be blessed through your love, that we might be a blessing to others too. These prayers we make in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, we're going to sing our opening carol, and then I'll hand over to the narrator for the journey we're going to go on. It was on a starry night.
Since we last gathered here on Christmas Eve. And the Jubilee group, the young folk, have all been thinking back to some of the funnier aspects of life under the lockdown rules. We've had to get used to keeping our distance. We've discovered online parties. Sometimes we've had conversations. Other times we've tried to have conversations. And we've learnt new rules and etiquette. Our first little sketch, of course, emphasises this, simply called Zoom Rules. Okay.
Fits that you're saying, Betty? All right, speak a bit louder. Is this any better? Oh, I'm still nail loud enough. Wait a minute. There's a sign here somewhere for the volume. And not the clock thingy, nor the magnifying glass. That's to make something bigger, and I don't want that. Alright, here's the loudspeaker thingy. I'll just turn it up. Is that any better, Betty? Oh, what am I doing wrong? There's too much to remember with this Zoom nonsense. I need my microphone. But it's nae karaoke night, Betty. I'm pretty sure that's next week. It's bingo night, remember? Oh, Fitna, what's she doing? She's nae leaving the meeting, is she? Maybe she's getting a cuppa. I do see. You're on mute, ya idiot. That's why I can't hear ya. Oh, I see. Where's the button? There we go. We have lift off, Betty. That's me sorted. Wait, I'm just realising I can't hear you either. You're on mute as well.
I'm sure we all remember conversations like that. In fact, we're still having conversations like that. I joked several times that we were all turning into Arthur Askey. Can you hear me, Mother? Of course, there was also the early days of lockdown shopping. And we've had a bit of fun reminding ourselves of certain aspects of shopping for essentials.
That's me away shopping. Need anything?
Get something good for tea.
Okay. Don't know how long I'll be. Seeing only one person could go.
Got your mask?
Nearly forgot.
Your hand sanitizer?
Yep. Got it.
Something else?
Shopping bags. Right, that's me off.
Okay, bye. Peace at last.
Cheers, Billy. That was half the time of you.
How'd you get on?
Billy from next door gave me a hand. I was just going to get the essentials. But I got 4 packets of toilet roll.
What? You got 4 last week. We can't get room for toilet rolls.
I also got flour.
What do you get flour for? You don't bake.
I saved the best to last.
Yes!
I don't need to go shopping for a while now.
What do you get for tea? I'm hungry.
There's always something.
Very reassuring to know it's not just me that goes to the shop and then gets back and goes, that's what I went to get. Right. See, this is the trouble. First you get your mask off, then you stand here with the stage lights, and I can't see a thing. And if I take my glasses off, then I'll see even less.
Page 4.
No, it's not at page 3. Right, we're into a different stage now. You're telling me, can you see? Back into cafes, restaurants, and nightclubs. And although some of the rules are just a wee bit confusing, let's hear how Ina and Christine are applying them.
Oh, it's maybe one of those selling ones, the spam calls that you get. Could be. Hello?
Hello, is that you, Auntie Ina? It's Christine here.
Oh, Christine! Oh, it's lovely to hear you. Oh, it's so nice when I haven't hoped to see you for such a long time.
Oh, well, we can meet up now if you like. I can come by in 10 minutes and pick you up. How's that?
Oh, it's music to my ears. Oh, I'll just go and get my coat and I'll be ready.
Hello? I'm nice to let you ready.
No, just takes me a while now, you know. Not as quick as I used to be.
Remember your mask?
Oh, not a mask. What do I need a mask for?
No, you can take it off once we sit down.
Oh, shucks. Oh, where's my mask?
make sure you don't infect anyone else.
You mean there'd be somebody in here that hasn't got vaccinations who could affect me?
Relax, Auntie Ina. We'll be fine as long as we just keep our distance from other folk.
Okay. I'll just see all this rules. I mean, I just don't understand. Will things ever be the same? I mean, my hands are just ready raw. We wash them 20 seconds every time I go to the toilet. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. I have sung that so often. I am older than Methuselah. Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned toilet. I shouldn't have mentioned toilet. Stop! Bring your mask on. Oh, that is too difficult. This is just too difficult. Your cousin told me he could go dancing without a mask. But when he goes to the toilet after he stopped dancing, he has to put it on. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. He says he told him. Just all too much for me. It's too much.
Well, he'll need a passport when he goes in, not a passport that we use to go on a plane.
Wait a minute. So you need a mask to go to the toilet, but you can dance, but you can't get in until you've got your passport. But you're not the same as a plane. What kind of passport is this then?
It's just a funny wee square on his phone to show that he's had his vaccinations. It's for his protection.
This is just too much. It's just too much. Look, it's been so kind of you. A passport to get in, to go to the toilet. Oh, I don't think I'll stay. I think I'll go home. Thank you very much, Chrissy. You're such a lovely girl. I've just had enough. I'll go home to the weeks. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Your mask!
But
So you're a bit confused.com about the new rules that seem to keep changing every time I look at the news. Well, we have come up with a handy reminder. Our very own Bucks Fizzle will set you straight with their new single, Keeping Your Distance.
Keeping your distance. Don't let the rules confuse you. No need to make a fuss. Just follow these instructions. You can simply copy us. No, you can't wear your mask. You gotta try and check. You gotta sanitize going in and out of the public space. By keeping your distance. Everywhere you go. By keeping your distance.
Now, if you think all of this keeping your distance from folk is a new thing, it's really not. Back in Jesus' day, there was lots of rules about distance, and folk could and could not come into the temple, where they could and couldn't sit, and some who weren't even allowed at all. In fact, many of the folk Jesus healed had been banned from the temple and from public life, because they were lepers, or foreigners, or even shepherds. Let's remind ourselves about the shepherds and how they came to know the birth story by singing our next hymn from the fourth church hymnary, while humble shepherds watched their flocks on Bethlehem's plains by night.
Watch their flocks on Bethlehem's plains by night. Angels sent from heaven and filled the place with light. To you, David's born this day, is born of David's line, the Savior who is Christ the Lord, and this shall be the sign. But everything you there shall find, to you confused is laid. Oh, weeping wrapped in swaddling bands, and in a manger laid.
Halt! Who goes there?
We're shepherds from Bethlehem.
No shepherds allowed in this temple. You are not allowed past the door.
Why not?
You're a smelly shepherd, that's why. You don't think folk want you sitting next to them, reeking of sheep.
We just want to worship God like everyone else. We lost some sheep last night. We thought the wolves had got them. Or sheep rustlers. That's why they're always after our sheep. My wife washes them in Ariel and Mumbai. That's to help their fleeces come out lovely.
God's not interested in your stories about washing your flock by night. Be off with you.
That's not the best bit. Just as we were giving up hope, we heard this bleating, and we followed it, and we found them. Caught us in thorn bushes. So we just wanted to thank God, because without his help, we never found them. He kept us hoping and looking. They would have been goners overnight if we hadn't found them.
Rescued sheep? Who cares? Stop wasting my time and be off with you before I set the dogs on you.
If it says in the Psalms that the Lord is my shepherd, he must hear us. That's how he's going to help us rescue them, right?
Well, they're right, aren't they? The next visitors to the temple. We've got a wee bit of a journey, so we need to fill in the gap. And to do so, we're going to sing the hymn that we all know that tells us about them. We three kings of Orient are.
Orient? Where's that? Never heard of it.
We are kings who have traveled far, following a special star, indicating a great coming to the world.
You must be joking. You followed a star. There's stars. What's special about this one? There's stars in the sky every night.
The one from the east.
East? That's very far. Where's your passport?
I have them here.
Right, good enough. How long have you been traveling?
We've been travelling many months through half many lands.
I see. Well, do you have the documents showing you have isolated and quarantined at all the suitable borders?
And what's in your camel bags? Any illegal drugs?
We only have clothes and gifts for new baby, gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Well, I'm afraid those valuable items are going to have to be confiscated until all the papers have been checked. And until that point, there will be no entry to the temple.
But can we not just go in by check?
Definitely not! No foreigners nor aliens allowed until all checks have been done. No entry under any condition. Barred totally until all checks have been done in absolute detail.
And this is the country that the Great One will be born into? What on earth will they do with him?
Let us build a house where love can dwell, and all can safely live. Where birds and swans and children tell of hearts learned to forgive. Build a house of dreams and visions, let the faith and vault of grace, where the love of Christ shall end divisions. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place. Let us build a house where all are knit, where songs and visions are, where love and treasure taught and paid as words within the world. Let the prayers and cries and laughter, prayers of faith and songs of praise. Let this heart proclaim from floor to rafter, all are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place.
Back to the script as written. The funny thing is, Isabel writes the script and then can't remember where I'm supposed to speak in the script. Which is a good job, because I can't remember where I have to speak either. So, tonight we have been thinking about how we've had to keep our distance from each other in order to reduce the spread of infection. We've seen how societies, even our own, can apply rules and force people to keep their distance from everyone, unfairly pushing some folk to the edges. But God, the God who draws near to us tonight to hear this amazing story once more, is a God that does not keep his distance from us. He does not stay apart from us as uninterested, but draws so close that we can know his comforting presence around us every day of our lives. We can know his arms holding us when we are weak or afraid. He never closes the door in our face, never bars us from his love, for we are his beloved children, and he promises to be with us, by our side, for the whole of life's journey. And it's here, in a stable, with a young mother and her fiancé, in the midst of scandal, that we find this God revealed in a baby, who brings about the biggest transformation in how we all see each other. All of us, as children of God. Let's remind ourselves a bit about that. With the hymn, see him lying in a bed of straw, a draughty stable, an open door, Mary cradling the babe she bore, the Prince of Glory, his name.
Must be the innkeeper with more blankets. I think he's insulted with Jesus.
I know, right? I can't keep my eyes off him.
I'll go and see.
Hi. Sorry to bother you. We heard that there was a baby being born. Angels told us. If it's not too cushy, can you see him?
No, it's not cushy at all. Come in. Make yourselves warm.
Okay. He's so beautiful. He's so tiny. He's like his mother.
Goodness, more visitors. I'll go and see.
Let them in.
Sir, so sorry to intrude, but we've been following a star. It's his star, the star of the Great One. We believe he's to be born here.
Yes, our baby boy has just been born. Please, come in. You're most welcome.
He will be such a leader like we've never seen before. If we just listen to him and hear what he has to say, he'll bring into the world a whole new way of seeing and living.
We'll now sing hymn number 359, He Came Down That We May Have Love.
He came down that we may have love. He came down that we may have love. He came down that we may have love. Hallelujah forevermore. He came down that we may have love. He came down that we may have love. He came down that we may have love. Hallelujah.
I'm sure some of the things we heard we could very much relate to as they were portrayed to us this evening. And just before we move on to the next part of the service, the Christingles, on behalf of yourselves, I'd really like to thank the young folk for giving us such a imaginative, interesting, engaging way of thinking about the whole theme of keeping our distance and God drawing near. And that was presented to us wonderfully by our young folks. So a big hand to them, I think. Thank you. I'd like to express thanks to our script writers, Eileen Preston and Isabel Jackson, for the work they had put in to it as well. And also thanks to Jamie, our organist and choir leader, but also narrator this evening. And I did feel him when you're in different roles, being both narrator and a wonderful pianist as well. You kept on top of things beautifully. Don't just ignore Eileen, Jamie. She just likes to have it. Anyway. So I think, no, the three maestros, not the three wise men, but the three maestros, the big thank you. And a thanks also to Colin Watt for assisting wonderfully with the sound system, and to Verna Ward, who is absent from us as she's in Glasgow this evening, for the PowerPoint that she prepared. And yes, Deborah, how could I forget Deborah? Deborah's unable to be with us this evening, but Deborah does a tremendous amount of work with the settings and the stage and so on, and also for the Christingles. So thanks to both Colin, Verna and Deborah for all their work. I hope I've included everyone. Now, we come to a part of the service that's very familiar to us, Christmas Eve, but it's a wee bit different this evening, because when we met to discuss it, we were wondering with the keeping our distance and with the safety measures and so on, that it would be difficult as we normally invite the children up to receive the Christingles. We're not actually doing that this evening. But there are Christingles. But here's the challenge for each and every one of you. The Christingles you will receive when you are making your way out the door. Because you're not going through for mince pies or that, but we're giving you an orange instead. But you'll take that bag away with the different things in it, and it also has instructions in it, what to do, and so you can prepare your own Christingle at home. And I have a confession. I made a Christingle this afternoon, and I've taken for granted all the work that goes into making a Christingle. Some of it is easier to do than other bits, and I would say to some of the younger children, make sure you're doing it with an adult assisting you, because what I found very difficult was putting the cocktail sticks through the door mixtures. Yes, it was true. That was finger endangering. Anyway, so cocktail sticks go through the dollar mixtures, and all the things are provided in the bags there. The orange, then you might need some help in cutting a hole in the top of the orange for the candle to go in, and so on. And then there's the red ribbon that goes round. So as I say, I hope you'll enjoy making your Christingle at home, and maybe lighting it at the Christmas dinner or whenever, that's for yourselves to decide. But just before we have a reading which reflects on the importance of what's being represented in the Christingle. Let me just explain what these different things are. The orange, circular, spherical, a sphere, is representing the world in which we live. And it was interesting, I don't know if folks heard that Captain Kirk, the actor who played Captain Kirk, went way up into space. I mean, in real life, he went up into space. He was always going up into space, and in his role as Captain Kirk. But the actor actually went up. William Shatner went up, and he looked down, and he thought it was amazing to look at this planet Earth, and also to see something of its fragility. We've been reminded of that this year about caring for the world, caring for the environment. So the orange represents the world. And the red ribbon represents God's love embracing the whole world, going around the whole world, whether it's India, Nigeria, Sudan, France, England, Scotland, so on. God's love is embracing the whole world, and it's represented by the red ribbon. And then we have the cocksticks here. What they represent are, they can be described as north, east, south, west, or they can be the 4 seasons of summer, of winter, of spring and autumn. And the dolly mixtures represent the fruits of the earth. It could be the fruits of the harvest that we celebrate, the harvest of the earth, all the good things we enjoy in the earth and the sea. Or they could also represent the fruit of God's Spirit in our lives. So there's so much we can think about when we look at the Christingle. And then, of course, in the centre, we have the white candle, and it's representing the light of God's love coming into the world in the birth of Jesus. And that light continuing to shine in people's hearts, in people's lives, in people's souls, and making a difference. Just as a difference is made if the light of a candle comes into a dark room, it transforms it, because the light comes in and changes the whole way it looks. And so the light of God's love in Jesus changes how things look, and how we see things, and how we do things, and how we treat one another. He enables us to love each other. So I'm going to light these now, and then we're going to hear a reading from the Gospel. I wonder if I could ask our shepherd to maybe light one of the candles for us. Louisa, would you be happy to do that? Now, with Mum's help as well. Okay. Lisa, you? Or maybe we better coming round a bit here. That's great. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm just going to need that light again to the light in here. But thank you, Louisa, for lighting that candle. And both of these candles representing the light of God's love coming into the world. Now, let us listen to God's word in the Gospel of John as we look at these lights here, and as we think also of making our own Christingles and lighting them at home. then after we hear the words from the Gospel, we'll sing the song, Light a Candle in the Darkness. Sorry, I thought Isabel was wearing what? She was just putting her glasses. Okay. Yes. Here we go. Right, from John's Gospel. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world. Though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision, or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became human and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. We'll now sing the song, Light a Candle in the Darkness.
Light
followed by a well-loved Christmas carol, Still the Night. Loving God, we praise and thank you for the opportunity to gather this Christmas Eve to celebrate your amazing love. And we ask that we make our way to our different homes with the joy and excitement that the shepherds experienced encountering the angels and then going to Bethlehem to see Jesus. That we will have that sense of searching and discovery that the wise men had as they made that long journey and met and discovered Jesus himself, the King of Kings. And so may we go with joy, with gladness, with a spirit of celebration, with a desire to share love and joy and be closer to one another in spirit and in truth. And now may the blessing of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit be with us this night and evermore. Amen. We're sorry we can't offer you hospitality more this evening. But as I say, there are do-it-yourself Christingles, and all I would say is, I'm guessing by the number, as long as we ensure that all children and teenagers, young people, take one of the bags, and then there should be enough left over for each household. What I mean by that is if you're two adults and you don't have children, there should be, you can take one home, I think, and enjoy it and celebrate it. But ensure that the children and young folk get, and then one for each household that doesn't have children with them. Is that all clear? Hopefully you'll see those just at the festival. But thanks very much for coming, and I wish you all a very happy and a joyful Christmas. And God's blessing.